Board of Trustees. Trustee Verma, would you please do the roll call?
Thank you, I will. Trustee Melissa Augusta,
Present.
Trustee William Lawler,
Here.
Trustee Greg Mazenek,
Here.
Trustee Tehra Machinery is excused. Trustee Doreen Popat,
Present.
Trustee Ramesh Verma present. Trustee Jeff Wood will be coming anytime. Student Representative Ravina Joshi,
Here.
Student Representative Lihari Wabilala, she is absent excused.
Very good, thank you. If everyone would please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, let's, if we can, start by looking at tonight's agenda. There is one minor correction I'd like to make, and that's on 5B. That should be approval of the regular meeting minutes from January, not December, so it'd be January 25th, I think.
Thank you.
2018.
2018, yep. Anyone else have any comments or request any changes for the agenda for tonight? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Very good, thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda, there are three parts tonight. We'll take them one by one. The first is the approval of claims and warrants, L562. Any questions on the items in the claims and warrants? If not, is there a motion?
So moved. To approve.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Very good, thank you. Next is 5B, the approval of the regular meeting minutes from the January meeting. Anybody have any questions or changes that they would like to make to that? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Last is 5C, which would be the approval of the minutes from our February 10th budget study session.
I have a comment.
Okay?
On page 17, it says that I feel the goal of the library is not to just balance the budget, but provide good services and so on. I did say that. It reads as though I'm dismissing the importance of balancing the budget. That was not my intent. My intent was to say that there's always a tension between balancing and providing good services with the mission. So I would just like to say that, that I did feel that there's the board senses the tension between balancing the budget and providing.
Good, duly noted. There's one small thing I'd like to add to it on page 17, the fifth paragraph down, where it talks about what I talked about, where it says he reported that each year the library does better with fund balance usage. I would like to add better than anticipated with fund balance usage. What I was trying to get to is that we normally budget for a certain amount, and often we are able to at least achieve that. So if we could add those words, better than anticipated. Any other comments, changes?
It's hard. I commend the person taking the minutes because there was such an ebb and flow of discussion that it's hard to kind of capture everything. So these are minor little tweaks that we have, but there are words. So.
I agree 100%. I'm glad I'm not doing it.
That's right. Me too.
Because I wasn't there, I'm not going to vote.
Okay, that's good. We'll have one abstention. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor, aye? Aye. Very good, thank you. Moving on to correspondence, Julie.
Okay, we do have one correspondence. It's on page 18, and it was an email received. It actually came through to Julie. Julie and Christina and Marcia are in the admin office, and they handle a lot of meeting room rentals. And this was just a note from Ryan Welka, just thanking the staff and the space. Truly enjoyed it and looks forward to renting from us again, and just wanted to share that. We get a lot of kudos on our rental process, and we look forward to working with the community when they need space.
And can you tell us anything about who VFG
I
Associates
cannot.
is?
I don't know if you,
It's a financial
Okay,
investment
Good.
planning group.
good, thank you. It's always nice to get those. Moving on to presentations.
I'm very excited to introduce two staff. Scott Rakestraw and Dominic Dute are from our IT department. Scott is our systems administrator, Dominic Dute is our technology assistant, and they're both here this evening to talk about our virtual reality, and we launched it in October, so they're going to be sharing what's been going on since the launch. So Scott and Dominic, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Julie, for the gracious introduction. Thank you to the board for allowing us the opportunity to chat and visit tonight. System administrators don't often get a chance to talk about important issues. Most of the time, we're asked about project build times, lead times, and things like cost to benefit ratios. One of the things I love about the library profession is that we do get to focus on these larger issues, how technology really impacts our lives. At the library, our motto, inform, inspire,
Include.
and include is not just a motto, it's a benchmark that as employees, we all can use to measure our effectiveness in terms of how we deal with patrons every day. From the tech times that we do to story time, everything we do in the library is all about discovery. Tonight, what I'd like to introduce you is to our new our new addition to the toolbox. It's a Sony virtual reality system, or Sony PSVR for short. We'd like to extend a very big thank you to the Friends. They budgeted $5,000 for the two PSVR systems. We're showing you here some of the original VR systems. We want you to know it's really important that these systems now are in fact ready for prime time. All of the major players are involved in producing headsets. We went with the Sony because we believe it's the simplest to operate in the library. To manage this asset, we have a great team of professionals, youth, as well as adult librarians, our technology team, of course, as well as some facility staff members who have volunteered. So thanks to their participation, their creativity, and their efforts, we've had some great success. We've had 15 events since October. We've had roughly 340 participants. If you average that out over 5 months, it's about 65 per month, or roughly 22 per session. So that's a pretty fair number for us. What we've learned over the course of these events is that obviously some folks prefer realistic, intense graphics. Others prefer the puzzles and the routine tasks that go along with virtual worlds. VR is very much title-driven, and that accounts for some of the shifts in the numbers from week to week. People seek out the experiences that they most enjoy. You can race a sports car across Europe, you can climb mountains, you can pilot a spaceship and battle the Empire. One machine, all of these experiences are possible. Now, VR isn't the Star Trek holodeck, but I think you can see there from some of the comments that all the folks who've participated have truly enjoyed it. We'd like to share a little video with you now just to give you a glimpse of what this immersive technology can do for you. Not going to do justice on the flat screen. If you'd like to get the full experience, please stop by the library. We'd be happy to give you a demonstration. I'd like to introduce my colleague, Dominic Dute. Dominic has been with the library 7 years. He's a very kind and gentle soul. He works with patrons as well as staff in helping us manage our technology. He's also been the point man on leading edge technology, such as the 3D printers as well as the PSVR systems. Please welcome Dominic Dute.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
So Scott alluded to a video to show you. It's going to be on the flat screen. Still, it's pretty immersive as it is. It's a 360-degree video of Angel Falls. Take what you will from this. If you were to view this in the VR with the headset attached to your head, you could look around as if you were really there. I'm just going to show you a brief glimpse of that. Now this is on YouTube. YouTube has a special VR virtual reality channel. which you can explore various places around the planet, different experiences in outer space and so forth. In this VR on YouTube, again, it doesn't do justice to it, but you can float through. This is Angel Falls. This is kind of going fast, but in the virtual reality headset, it would be much more immersive than this. Just watching this on my monitor at work, I was getting a little dizzy and floaty. And when I played it with the VR headset on, I was getting a little wobbly. That is one drawback to it. We have had people get a little dizzy, suffer a little bit of nausea from that, and we warn people ahead of time. We tell them if you're feeling at all dizzy, sit down, and in most cases, we have people sitting down to begin with. We don't want any people falling over, tripping on things, hurting themselves. That's the last thing we want to happen.
And there is a requirement that at the age of 12 is when you're using this equipment that is required. So we are keeping to that age. We've had parents ask if younger children can participate, but we've really kept to the standard of the equipment, and we do it for 12 and up.
Yeah. This is... Yeah, Scott mentioned immersive experiences. You can try impossible, dangerous, impractical, expensive things like traveling anywhere in the world, racing a super sports car, fighting aliens in outer space, going underwater in a shark tank. I think we had Marshall Johnson do that. Was that last week, I think? And he was pretty thrilled by it. It's like you are actually in the game. Some of the experiences we've had are of a competitive nature, where one player will go up against the enemies in the game. But what I've learned I like to do at home and in this situation is have cooperative team-solving puzzles. This game called Rec Room offers online multiplayer. We've tailored the experience to be safe and family-friendly. We can create private rooms for the players so that they're not online with players who might be abusive in tone or language or their actions. We want it to be a safe, friendly environment. We have had a couple of people go online with other players out there in the world, but generally we keep a tab on things so that things don't get out of hand. We want everyone to feel friendly and welcomed and safe. And with cooperative problem solving, instead of competing, I find when people cooperate towards a common goal, they have more fun. Different skill levels can have the same amount of fun, whereas if one player is highly skilled and another player is a newcomer, they might be lost, feel intimidated. But with cooperative, everyone helping each other out, I find that works a lot better especially with younger players, which is the majority of our players, our teens. I'm sorry. I think Julie brought this up already. Age level and content. Age level is minimum is 12, and that is set by the manufacturer of the equipment. Anyone under 12 is not allowed to play. And the main thing, I looked this up, why is this? Children are still in a critical period in their visual development. The science behind VR is still trying to figure out exactly how it could affect children's vision and so forth, but we are abiding by the manufacturer's suggestion of 12 and older. So we don't want to go against that. Also, with our games and experiences, we're keeping everything to everyone or a teen-based content level. We don't want any super violent games. Any violence in the game would be cartoon or fantasy nature. There's no bloodshed, nothing like that. No zombies, no World War II games, anything like that. So very family-friendly, as we like to keep it. My fancy transitions here. Scott said we've had several events, and I personally have been doing twice a month, each Sunday, a virtual reality Sunday, where anyone is welcome, even though it says 12 and up. I'm getting mostly children, and I try and lure the parents in there. Come on, you want to try this? A lot of adults are very hesitant. Don't be hesitant just because it looks like a game system or something for kids. Everyone can get something out of it. So feel free to stop by on a Sunday or any of our other events. We're happy to accommodate you. Yes.
Scott, it's nice to meet you. I know we had a lot of communication back and forth when you set up our email accounts a few months ago, but nice to meet you in person. Congratulations, what a fascinating system.
Yeah, it's a lot of
I'm
fun.
extremely ignorant about the whole thing.
Well, come on over. And
I
we'll-
want to do that. Where do I go? Where is it located?
Well, I have these twice a month sessions each month on a Sunday. I have a virtual reality Sunday, and there's some of the dates. But we have other events. They'll be on our calendar too, you'll see. So the next event, 225, this coming Sunday.
But is it at a location?
It's at the library, and I usually have this session on the second floor. I take over the quiet study room for a couple of hours, and it's a nice little space to go in. It's quiet, but there are windows in that room, so people, passersby that come by can, look in, and if they're curious, I welcome everybody in.
So it's completely mobile? You could set it up wherever you want?
Yes, there was a picture earlier that showed we had 2 TV monitors on mobile stands that we could move anywhere within the library. The system itself is very portable. We can take to any other events around town. So, yeah, it's the portability is a
And
big
there's
thing.
no sign up for it?
This there is, but usually I don't have a full crowd sometimes. So any people that come by, I try and accommodate them and fit them in. Definitely, I want everyone to experience it.
Thank you.
Very much.
Is this any slide which you put in, then it comes out and you can see, or you type on the internet and see that, I want to see Agra in India?
Yeah, there could be. The one video I showed that came out rather poorly of Angel Falls, they have several videos of travel type videos around the world. A couple I were looking at were Red Square in Moscow, the Great Wall of China, several things that they're making all the time. So they're all kinds of experiences, underwater experiences with sharks, turtles, underwater jellyfish, a lot of really good ones. So yeah, there are things always coming out.
So when they make it, they send it to you, or you have to buy it?
I generally look online. I keep tabs a couple times at least a week looking for new things that come out and mark them on a little wish list. And I kind of study it, read reviews on it, and if I feel it's appropriate for our programming, first of all, teen or everybody, I don't want any violent games. I want games that are immersive and that provide an experience that you don't have to spend an hour to get the satisfaction out of it. Something that can be done in 10, maybe 15 minutes, and that person can come away satisfied with a good feeling of playing that. I'm sorry, did that answer your question?
Thank you.
I'm sure. Okay.
Go ahead.
Hi, Drew.
I would like to comment on some phrases that you used, which I think you want them to be family-friendly,
Yes.
terrific, tied right into the mission and value of the library, cooperative as opposed to competitive, which is so important in our society today to
Yes.
really urge more cooperative, and the doing away with as much violence as you can do away with, which is no small feat
Right.
in today's world where violent games are so prevalent. So I just really commend you for those values of family-friendly, cooperative, and no violence, because it is so in tune with the mission of the library and not an easy task.
Not
So
easy.
thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I think it was at the Friends, right, that it premiered, and just I was a spectator, I was a little hesitant, but just watching
Yeah.
all the different ages, and they were laughing and giggling, and it was so much fun, and they had to get the monsters, cartoon monsters, and
At the Friends night?
at the Friends
Yes.
night. So much fun.
What made it more fun was after people had a little bit of wine, made it especially more fun. And it's as much fun to watch the people do it as it is to
Oh my
participate
gosh,
in it.
so much fun.
It's a blast. If you get a group of people in a party atmosphere, it's
Yeah.
fun.
It was great. Everyone should try it. Totally. Go check it out.
Is this only usable during these specific Sunday times?
No, we have other events. We've used it during Teen Space for a couple hours to engage the teens along with other activities that appear during that. We've had after-hours events. I think this Friday, we're doing a Nerf gun event in which we'll also have, there is a couple games on here that involve virtual paintball games. So as the players are waiting to participate in the Nerf ball event itself, instead of just waiting around, we can have this available to them to keep them engaged.
Do you ever envision where someone could walk in Wednesday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and utilize this?
I would like to see that. I would like to see maybe perhaps a more, I don't know if a permanent space is the word I'm looking for. But yeah, I would like to see that if someone just came in and said, hey, I heard you had virtual reality equipment. Would it be all right if I test it out? I can't make these dates. I'm sorry, I keep doing that. Yeah, I would like to see and do something like that in the future, definitely.
I have another question. Do you have to be the one doing it? Or can someone else use the equipment without you responsible? I'm just thinking it's a heavy staff ratio if one person wants to do this and you have to work with. So explain that a little bit.
We always have a staff member on hand to help them into the equipment and to make sure they're not abusing any of the library's equipment. Is that what your question was? sort of asking?
So there really is a staff ratio with this,
Yes.
okay?
Yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately, there could be the chance of someone walking away with some of the
course.
equipment or some of the pieces. And we've had that in some instances, unfortunately, but we do have to kind of watch it. And it's not cheap. It is expensive equipment that we're giving an opportunity for the patrons to try. But I think we are trying to look at different ways that we can get it out there more often. We definitely, when we launched it in October, almost in beta testing, I'll call it, to see how it was received and then how we can use it in the community. I can tell you that we have an event coming up in April to celebrate National Library Week, and we partnered with Lucky Strike up in Fountain Walk. We're going to be taking the virtual reality equipment up there to have our teen event and our event there, but to take it off-site and to give it some experience outside of the library.
What is the use of this equipment for the library, for our patrons?
For our patrons, well, to offer them the glimpses of new technology that they might be on the fence about and can't afford. And also, there are things that are educational in that regards as well, like the travel, virtual reality, hopefully more. I've not seen much in the way of educational software for this particular system out, per se. The other virtual reality systems have a wider variety of software that could be more educational, but I'm hoping I keep checking to see if there are more things involved with learning. But currently, it's just for the experience of this new technology that's available and to offer it to them at home.
It's pretty cool.
It is.
Or as
What is cool is okay, but I'm just saying, is it beneficial to our library?
If I
think
could
so.
jump in, I would add that, virtual reality, there are a couple of keywords that you might want to put on your radar screen: augmented reality and mixed reality. This virtual reality technology has been promised for a long time. The idea is that you can step into another world. As this technology moves forward, these augmented or mixed reality systems will literally allow you to put data in your natural environment. So if we were all engineers working on an automobile, we could literally see the virtual automobile, make changes to it, and see it happen in real time.
That's what I saw 3 years ago in the auto show. The virtual, that was fantastic. Actually, there was something when it is coming, even the chairs were moving too.
Right, so virtual reality at this stage of the game really is good for developing, like other video games, not only hand and eye coordination, but developing these spatial relationships and learning to manipulate large data in a virtual environment. So there are some hidden benefits to just playing the games. And it really, it's going to precede what that next generation, again, what they're calling mixed or augmented reality. It'll be part of your everyday life. You may remember the Google Glass. It's this kind of technology, and the Google Glass wasn't extremely well received. People didn't fully understand the implications of where that technology was going. But Google is also still in this game, very much competing with Microsoft and HP to develop these kinds of virtual systems.
Thank you, sir.
One of the, and it's kind of a follow-up to what you just talked about, but one of the things the board has learned over the years is that whenever we deal with technology, there's a shelf life and there's a future expense, and the shelf life gets shorter and shorter and shorter all the time. How long is something like this going to be good for, and what's the next thing that we should be anticipating?
That's why I always look to them. They're on the radar for trends and things like that. I don't know if you can answer it at this time, but that's literally how this actually came up in the first place, was, these two gentlemen said to me, Julie, we want to show you some equipment and some opportunities that we think the library might want to go into, to bring a different experience and new to the community. So by sitting down with them and then bringing these ideas at first, what's wonderful is the Friends, not part of our actual budget, the Friends are able to give us this gift money, and we can support some of this fun stuff with it not impacting the library's budget. And yet we know people are out there. In fact, I bought a virtual reality set for my kids this year for Christmas, knowing what they were doing and knowing how much they enjoy gaming and video games and things like that. So there's people that are probably, like Dominic said, on the fence with, do I want to buy the equipment at home, or do I want to test it out and see if it's really going to, fit my family, and will they stay involved in it for a while? And that's one of the reasons why we do some of the things we do at the library, is to be the tester, to bring them that new opportunity without them maybe doing it at home.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Do you go out into groups? So I'm thinking, for example, I always think of Fox Run and other older adult retirement communities and housing around the area. If only one person can experience it at a time, do you introduce it to groups and then pass the glasses around to other people? I mean, how would you go, if we invited you to Fox Run, for example, and you had 50 people in the room, is that too big? I mean,
That might
how
be-
does it work?
Might be too big. If you're giving a person, you want a good experience, is at least 10 minutes in the headset, and we have two systems. So, if you get 4 people an hour, times 8, that's going to be a few hours to get through everybody, to give
So,
everyone a complete.
I just think about the travel opportunities, for example, that people have been to, and it would be like a aha kind of thing. I'm even thinking of people with some in memory care areas in which they were travelers, and just as music touches them, I'm wondering if you have seen this as a therapeutic use for people with memory issues.
No, that's a fantastic idea. I like that. That's a good idea.
We're definitely willing to try it. I mean,
Yeah.
I think at this point, they are feeling comfortable with the equipment and how it's been used over the last few months with the patrons that have interacted with it, that I think we can look at different ways for it to be.
It would be frightening possibly to put
Yes.
this on, but I think if they could be immersed in, if they've been to Venezuela and seen Angel Falls or have been other places in the world and you have some of that, I'd be glad to see if Fox Run will be a guinea pig on this.
I think so. I think it could be, yes.
Thank you.
I would like to do that. I like Fox Runs.
Any other questions from the board?
Other than thanking Friends of the Library
Yeah,
officially.
thanks Friends, and thanks Scott and Dominic for showing us a little bit about this. And I have a hunch that some of us will be knocking on your door.
Please do. Okay.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Dominic.
All right, we have reached the first of 2 public comment times. In order to hear all citizen comments at a reasonable hour, the library board requests that speakers adhere to a 5-minute time limit. This is not a question and answer session, therefore the board members will not respond to your questions. It is, though, an opportunity for you to voice your comments and thoughts with the Novi Public Library Board of Trustees. If anyone has any comments they wish to make, please come forward. Seeing no one come forward, we will move right along to the student representative report.
This is the January report for the programs. The Get Cracking on Code Coding Club program took place on January 10th. Accelerate Kid educated and taught participants about computer programming and game design. Attendees also learned about computer science with Bitsbox to program video app games using JavaScript programming language. 23 people attended. The Parade of Preschools held its second annual event on January 17th. representatives from local Novi area preschool programs and daycare centers came to present information about their schools. Families got to ask questions, meet staff, and learn more about each school's program. 75 people attended. The Create a Puzzle program took place on January 24th. Attendees celebrated National Puzzle Day a few days early by decorating their own puzzle. 12 people attended. The after-hours Harry Potter party took place on January 26th. Attendees celebrated all things Harry Potter in honor of the upcoming Harry Potter World Book Night. Participants enjoyed pizza, played trivia, went on scavenger hunts, made chocolate wands, made a felt bookmark, guessed the jelly bean flavor, and finished off the night with ice cream. 36 people attended. The Pizza and Pages Book Club took place on January 30th. Attendees read the book Pax by Sarah Pennypacker. The purpose of this book club is to encourage tweens to read and also allow tweens to practice for the Battle of Books program that the library holds annually. 7 people attended. For the Teen Space update, there were 525 attendees in Teen Space in the month of January. Teen Space was closed from January 1st to January 5th due to winter break. There was also no Teen Space on January 15th due to no school because of MLK Day. Teen Space was held earlier on January 25th due to a half day, and no Teen Space was held on January 26th due to no school. For the Teen Advisory Board update, the 5th TAB meeting of the year took place on January 19th. At this meeting, teens had a pizza party complimentary of 2 of the TAB officers who donated the food. During the meeting, members filmed the Teen Video Challenge with the theme Libraries Rock. The video had different scenes with different members, promoting the books and programs at the library, with members singing, dancing, and rocking out with different instruments. 30 people attended. For the upcoming programs, Princeton Review Getting Into Your Dream College will take place on March 3rd. College Planning for College-Bound Families on March 6th. Get Cracking on Code Coding Club on March 7th. Battle of the Books on March 10th. Score Business Mentoring for Teens on March 14th, and the TAB meeting on March 16th, and the Pizza and Pages Book Club on March 27th. For the captions for the pictures, for the first one, attendees learn how to code at the first Get Cracking on Code Coding Club of the 4-part series. One of the 13 preschool centers and daycare centers that participated in our 2nd annual parade of preschool programs. This tween is happy to show off his decorated puzzle. Attendees at the after-hours Harry Potter party enjoy playing trivia. Attendees at the after-hour Harry Potter party work together to solve the scavenger hunt clues. Attendees at the after-hours Harry Potter party showcase their edible wands. And finally, tweens from the Pizza and Pages Book Club show off their January title that they have read.
I would like to comment. I think that the book that you read, Pax, I think that was also interviewed or talked about by Superintendent Matthews
It
in
was.
his book talk that you had with him.
Yes.
So it seems to be getting around.
It is. And then also to add to it, if you look on page 24 and 25, I just wanted to add, you've met Lindsay Fricke, who is our teen librarian, and I did highlight for you at the bottom of page 24. She took part in a panel that did a ton of reading to get to the best young adult fiction for young adults, and this is the actual press release that was released. These are the winners of the books that were chosen. She was part of this committee. We actually flew her to Colorado she's been reading hundreds of books and was part of the committee that made these choices. So we're very proud of her for representing Novi and being on this committee. It is the American Library Association Committee for Young Adults. So I just wanted to thank her for her input and being a part of that.
And I assume we have these books in
Yes.
books in our
Oh,
library?
yes, we do.
Good.
Yes. In fact, we were given copies of them for her to be part of it, so it was wonderful.
Congratulations on your recent activities. I'm really looking forward to the 2 college-related activities in March. I think that's very, very important for you guys to do. And one final thing, Can somebody define a tween for me?
Between?
Tween is like not a teenager yet, but older than a regular kid.
So, so we're looking at that middle school
Middle
age.
school.
Sixth, seventh, and eighth.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's a good answer.
Good answer.
And also, if I could just point out, on page 20, there was, for upcoming programs, there was a note of the Battle of the Books. Hopefully, you've all received your invitations to be part of that event on March 10th. It's at 1 o'clock, and it's here at the city because the crowd is so big that we have to always host it here. So we appreciate the city for letting us have that space on that Saturday.
And what is the February book that you're pushing in your book clubs?
All-American Boys? Yes. So
That's in connection with the parents of African-American students?
It is, and there will be a panel discussion about the book on Tuesday, February 27th, which is this Tuesday coming up, I believe at 6 o'clock. We have a panel, in fact, Dr. Matthews will be on the panel along with our media specialist from the high school and some students from the high school as well, and a returning high school student that's now at Oakland University. So a great book. I've had the chance to read it, and I think it'll be a wonderful discussion.
Who chooses that book?
Actually, the parents of African American students of Novi chose the book and asked if we would partner with them.
Good, thank you.
Yep.
I have
Yes.
to tell you and commend you, some great events, great turnout, very impressive this month. I loved everything. Jealous I'm not a teen on some of these. Sounds like a lot of fun. Thank you.
Very good, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along, on page 26, you'll see our goals. Nothing new or different there. As I'm sure you all recall, we do a goal update once a quarter. It's not that time in the quarter, so we will move on unless anyone has a comment on those.
I just wonder where we are on Goal 5, the staff survey by the library board. Are we working on that?
We have not, because of the HR study still going on, but that should be starting to be talked about probably in the next month or so.
So
'cause we're-
by next
yes.
quarter, we get an update on
Yes.
that? Thank you.
Yep.
Good.
Great question.
All right, moving along to the treasurer report.
Lots of numbers today. Are you ready?
So tell us our pages.
Put your seatbelts on. Oh, you know what? I didn't use my pages, so I'm going to have to, I printed mine this time. One moment, please. All right. Starting out as our budget starts out on page 27 for fund balance 268, and it goes all the way to page 31. So if you look at page 27, our approved budget for fiscal year 2017 to 2018 calls for revenue of $2,901,020. And if you go to page 31, expenditures of $3,032,496, consuming $131,476 of the fund balance. Budget for Fund 269, which is on page, on page 35. 2017, 2018 proposed budget calls for revenue of $48,500 and expenditures of $118,465, using $69,965 of the fund balance. Did the lights just flicker, or was that just me? All right, starting out on page 37, the revenue and expenditure report for Fund 268. Trying to find the 268 numbers. Are on page 40. If you look, it says total revenue, the very first total revenue, total expenditure. And year-to-date balance as of January 31st, 2018 is $2,863,779. That is an increase from last month of $17,577. Our expenditures ending January 31st are $1,590,687. That's an increase of $235,753. The revenue and expenditure report for Fund 269, effective January 31st, is $33,088, which was an increase of $4,082. And expenditures for Fund 269 are $22,050, an increase of $871. The balance sheet on page 41 for Fund 269 shows our fund balance as of January 31st is $3,107,166.51. The fund balance, which is on page 42, for Fund Balance 269 shows our fund balance of 1 million, scratch that, $1,708,885.27. All right, so what do these numbers mean? So the good news is that we are currently operating under budget of about $327,000. We are still on track to potentially not using any fund balance. So we average approximately $227,000 a month, and we've budgeted for approximately $252,000 a month. And so kind of still note that we still have some larger expenditures that will be coming in for the springtime. But what I did is looked at expenditures from 2018 to 2017 and did a comparison. So our expenditures are actually up about $100,000, but our revenue is up $132,000. So we're really still very close to where we were last year, and we ended with, positive.
I have a question for you.
Oh, boy.
If you look at page 40 and 41,
Okay.
for Fund 268, on page 40, you show a net of revenue and expenditures of $1,273,092.30. But on page 41 on the balance sheet for Fund 268, you show a net of revenue versus expenditures of about $6,000 difference. It's $1,267,176. And I noticed last month those were not the same. Typically in the past, that should be the same number, I believe.
I will find out if I have it, yeah, okay.
I wonder if it has to do with reporting days or something, or when we got the report from them or something. I don't know if
Let me
one's
look into it.
running or one is specific to the 31st.
Any other questions for our treasurer?
Yeah, an observation and a question. The state penal fines. I saw some reports in the last week that the amount of traffic tickets that the state police are giving is dramatically decreasing.
I know. That could affect
It's
us.
probably too early to know what effect that'll have on us.
Right, but it can,
It
because
could. When is that those usually hit?
that typically comes in early in our fiscal, so usually like July, August, I know those numbers.
What page is that on? I'm sorry.
It's on page 37.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then a question. The pie chart on page 34, the library expenditures. I'm very interested in that.
So that has to do with the new budget, not the
My
current.
question would be, where would a major expense such as the lending library, and I know we're not going to buy the vehicle, but if we would have bought the new vehicle, which of these categories would those two have fit in?
So your van would have been a capital outlay,
Okay?
because that's a one-time purchase. And actually, same with the lending library, but that's coming under 269.
Okay.
But if you have personnel, if you have a staff person or something like that, then it would come out of personnel.
It's related
If
to
there
the
was,
employee.
if there was a supply or something we were purchasing to use for the lending library, it would come out of supplies and materials, things like that.
Something more just for the patrons
Sure.
would fit under capital. Thank you.
Correct, you're welcome.
In the same one, 13% of that budget we are using for library materials.
13%.
That's what we buying the books and other things?
Yes. But this is for 2018-19. This is for your new budget coming, not the current budget.
How about the last year, how much we used?
I can do that. I haven't done that math, but I can. It's usually, we're pretty much on target for around that 13%. If we were to be at excellent status with the state, with the QSAC, that's the one measure that they use at state, they're requiring 15% to be spent on library materials. So we are a little below the excellent level. We are, we have there's 3 layers to that, and we received the first one, which was was essential, and that was on par with what they were requiring, but 15% is for excellent. So we're a little below what the state standard is, but we're also not we don't have all the criteria for the excellent either yet.
Thank you.
I was going to ask you that. What is the state recommendation of percentage for personnel?
I have no idea. I could find out. I don't know if they do that.
Okay.
I don't know if they've ever, I could find out other libraries how we compare. That might be more information to bring to you.
Because in schools, we think about 70%. Between 60, 70, where does that kind of fit?
I don't know if the state has one. I'll find out. If not, though, I can do some comparisons from other libraries.
Do you see us moving in any way up to that 15% recommended for library materials?
I think we can. We will be doing it, though, not probably in print, but more in the downloadable and digital
yes.
versions of it as we make some shifts.
So the Friends of the Library, gifted us with the equipment, and now we're kind of keeping up with the software and the programming for it. Would that come under library materials, the materials used?
No, library materials is specifically your books, your downloadables, things like that. That's equipment that actually falls in a different category.
And this is Fund 268 only.
This is Fund 268 only, correct.
But where that equipment comes, that's under the supplies and material, or?
It's under the equipment, well, hold on 1 second, I can tell you. The equipment falls under, it's under supplies and materials. The 734, computer software licensing, computer supplies and equipment. So that's under the supplies and materials line or
Okay,
category.
supplies and person.
Yeah, if you just look at the major breakouts in the budget, you'll see the same categories that you'll see in that pie chart.
So, we provide a lot of services through the library, computers and things, and that falls into there, which directly impacts patrons. So does your 13% for library materials as well. Some of those, I could break down a little more to patron versus patron if you wanted it, but I just thought I would give you just a snapshot for each.
This was helpful.
Yeah. So we're not too far off either. I was happy to see when that broke down. I've always been looking at that 15% for library materials, knowing that requirement from the state, and we are doing well, and we meet the essential requirement.
Good. Thank you, Treasurer. Moving on to the Director's Report.
Okay, we're on page 43. So just at the top there's just a list of some meetings and things as to what I've been involved in the last month. And then we have our recognition of our employees for their anniversaries. Mary Storch is going to be celebrating 18 years. April Stevenson, Mary Storch is a librarian, full-time. April Stevenson is our head of information services, and she is full-time. She'll be celebrating she celebrated 7 years. Tia Marie Sanders, she's been with us 4 years. She's our building monitor. Eva Sabolchik, she is one of our supervisors in support services. She's been with us 2 years. And then Rebecca Davis, she's actually a sub for support services. So she comes and goes and assists in need based on scheduling, and she's 2 years.
Before we turn the page,
Yes.
would talk a little bit about, you had coffee with superintendent regarding mental health. And with all the current news and the issues of mental health and all that the schools have done for mental health, I'm just wondering why that topic in the meeting with superintendent and what impact that has on library.
It's a great question, and actually, that is the coffee with the superintendent meeting that's held by the superintendent at the library every month. So it's
Okay,
not
so
a meeting
it's
that
his-
I had directly.
it's his agenda.
Yes.
That'd
So
be
it's his
interesting.
agenda, and I attended it because of the topic. They are doing a lot more through the school district.
course.
working with and supporting mental health and trying to get a committee together. They've been doing some work with the Depression Center out of the University of Michigan. So it was good for me to be part of the conversation because I support them in holding meetings, parent meetings if they need it. If they're going to be doing any programming that I think would be relevant, not only through the schools, but for the library to also be involved in and to provide as a community opportunity. That's why I went as well. So this is just formulated. They're starting to have conversations and building a group of parents that they're looking to work with them to help have that conversation.
As an aside, probably not related to the board, but I can't not say it. Whenever there is a societal issue, the first group people turn to are the schools. When children are hungry, we feed them breakfast and lunch. When mental health is raised, we go to the schools to do what needs to be done. When there's issues around guns, they want the teachers involved. It's just, and I just want to say that of a group in our society that very often does not get all the praise that they need to for the work that they do. It's the first group we as a society turn to when we have a problem. That's just my little.
And it's been wonderful, and they welcome the library to be part of that conversation with them, so I appreciate that. We have a great relationship with our school district. Moving on to page 44. Just an update about, our Carl, the new system. Things are moving along. We did receive our opportunity for signing up for training, so we have put in the dates that we're interested in. We have people identified from the staff that we're going to be sending, and then it's train the trainer. I want to thank you because the last meeting we had, which was January's meeting, we talked for a few minutes about and I heard from you, which I appreciated, so that I could go back to the staff, that that they're not going to be 100%, but they're going to do everything they can to be ready and willing to work with our patrons with a new system starting that Tuesday after Memorial Weekend. And I just wanted to thank you for that statement so that I could go back to the staff and share the same thing. And I was able to do that in all staff meetings, along with email if someone couldn't make the meeting. They've heard me say that the board understands that there's a learning curve and that patience will be part of it, and that you understand that, and I thank you for that. I'm very confident that our staff is going to learn the system and be comfortable with it, but it's nice to hear that from you as well. And they're working very hard to get up to speed and to be ready for that switch over. So, and then on page 45, just another community event that will be happening is partnering again with St. John Providence and St. John Providence Ascension, the school district, and us to bring a panel about HPV vaccination. This is something that people question, and we want to bring a panel of experts, which, as you can see, are a number of different types of doctors and pharmacists that will be available to talk about it and answer questions for parents. We know that that's something coming up and is prevalent and needs discussion. Page 46 starts the information technology report by Barb Rakowski. Just another kudos to Barb and her team of Scott and Dominic for what they're doing with the virtual reality, along with everything else that they're handling when it comes to IT. I do refer to them as my experts in the building, and they really do a great job. They do a lot of, daily maintenance and things and troubleshooting with the staff, but this virtual reality program and the Enable program has allowed that department to get out a little bit out of their work area and to experience a little bit with patrons and the community, and I really appreciate that we've been able to do that for them. The middle of page 47 starts the facilities report. This is the December and the January. Both of them are in there since we missed on December's and providing that to you. Lots of things. I can tell you, though, that the gentlemen really from the facilities department have been working on a lot of snow removal. So if you're wondering where they are, I'm glad that we've had some warmer weather and we're clear right now, but they have spent exhausted amounts of time keeping pathways and sidewalks clear. There's been a lot of weather, as you know. So I do want to thank them because when that weather happens, that's where we find them, is outside, really doing, we do have a snow removal company, just so you know, but they only come out at, so many inches, and they salt. Sidewalks continue to, to fill with snow, and they
Yeah,
have to be out there regularly.
I've seen our guys out there with the big snow
Yes.
machine moving it around, and
Right.
he said, I like doing that, so I said, good, thank you.
They said with all the rain we had, it
Right.
would have been 2 feet of snow.
Oh, yeah,
right.
I know, can you imagine? So I think they're very happy about the rain. They were able to clear out the bioswales, let the water drain nicely, but they have spent a lot of time this winter, and we'll probably even see, some bills for salt. I don't know if you had seen, but there was a salt shortage and things, and so they, of course, increased salt prices on us. So there's a couple things that we'll probably see with some billing coming up, and that's due to that. Those are uncertainties that we plan for and know about. Page 50 and 51, this is,
Hold on.
oh, I'm sorry.
Looking into page 47 in the bottom, there actually is a different month, but the same wording, there's no change. Same way with the top on that 48.
Yeah.
Same wording on the 49. There's no wording change.
It's the same thing they do, they're just reporting it. So, I mean, it's monthly stuff that I just want you to know that they are continually checking on. If you don't want to see the report like that anymore, I don't have to bring it to you, but I find it to be,
Ramesh, the
informative.
first report is from December.
I
and then-
know,
Oh,
the
okay,
month-
sorry.
But the wordings on, everything is the same, ditto, ditto, ditto.
It almost looks
He keeps
copied,
it the
is what
same,
he's
he
saying.
does. Keith reports, but he keeps it all the same. If there's a change, he will make it.
They didn't take the tree down in December, they didn't take it down till January. That's another line, it's different.
That is correct.
I was also going,
I gotta tell you, they're very busy with other things. For him to sit down and do a report, honestly, that's not where his time is usually spent. His time is spent doing things in the building. So to keep it as simple as possible, I have no problem with
The
him doing it.
van is with the city, but we do the maintenance for that?
No, we share the maintenance.
But it's written there, the monthly van wash, fluid check, and all those things completed.
Well, we have it the majority of the time.
So that's what I'm saying.
Oversee.
Yes,
We
so we
maintain.
we maintain some of that because we have possession of it most of the time.
Julie, would it be helpful if they didn't include like the monthly and just things that were maybe
Just new
big
or
or
something.
different? I
Sure.
don't know, I mean,
Okay, we
I
can do
don't know
that.
if we need to see all the little monthlies, if that would, I don't know if other
but in
people
6
thought-
months, we're going to ask to see what do they do every month.
Right.
That's okay.
You know,
That's okay.
it's good.
I just-
There
yeah,
could be
just
almost
throw it
like
out
a monthly checklist that's the same all the time, and we assume that that's done.
And that's what they
then do
did.
the original
But that's what
narrative.
they exactly did,
a
they
new
copied and
narrative.
pasted,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, it's perfect the way it is.
I had a question.
Sure.
I had a question about Barb going to homeowners associations. And she went to 2, and I'm wondering what she does.
She didn't
and-
go, they came to us, she just hosted it.
All right.
Yes, we are on, so there's a rotation of managers that we try to always have be available. And if a homeowner asks for a presentation, we all are versed at giving some information and introductions.
Because there's been a lot of talk about north of 696, working with homeowners for more engagement within the community, and I'm
That's if
wondering
they're, yeah, that's
if
if they're
this is
using the
an
space in the
effort
library.
to reach out to the homeowners, particularly north of 696.
We haven't gone out. It's if they're asking to use the space at the library. And if they do, and they take us up on the 10 to 15-minute talk of the library, they don't pay for the space either. So that's our way of getting them in the building, because truly we want them to get in the building if we could.
Is there any outreach on our part to contact them, or do we wait for them to
No,
contact us?
they contact us, yeah, we haven't reached out to them yet like that. Page 5051 is April Stevenson's report. As you can see, I always like to highlight what's going on with our 1,000 books, and total of 645 children have been interacted with when it comes to that program. And then some great photos on the second on page 52 from the program that we had for, sorry, I'm having a brain.
Michael Arthur Quinn. Martin?
No, it wasn't Martin Luther King, it was
Philippines?
our Philippine, thank you, our Philippine cultural diversity group that we had, that we celebrate, and that's all set up through Gail Anderson. She's doing them actually as separate individual countries and cultures once in a while, and doing them every other month. In fact, we have one coming up this Saturday, and it will be for African American, if anyone wants to stop by on Saturday. There will be one for that. Page 53 is Marianne Zermulin's Support Services Report. Things are going well there, and the statistics follow through to page 62, I believe. Yes. And then you'll see at the very last page, 63, that's the bits and pieces report. That comes from Jim Pletz from the Library Network, our consortium. So just giving you some updates to what's going on, similar information, and then our calendar.
Page 64,
Okay?
November 15, Library Board regular meeting Wednesday, but November 15 is Thursday.
Yes, normally it is.
So, but why Wednesday we have to do?
We're moving it because of the holiday,
But
so
November 15 is Thursday.
we couldn't get it on the 16th. It wasn't available, the
No,
space.
I'm getting confused. It's written November 15, Library Board regular meeting Wednesday,
Yes.
but November 15 is Thursday.
November 15th is a Thursday.
Oh, for 2018?
Yeah?
Oh, I apologize. Okay, I'll make sure that that's
So
changed.
what we should write? Thursday?
No, it is,
14th?
it's, I'll have to double check for you.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, because of those holidays, we sometimes have to move things with the city.
Okay.
So I'll double check for you. Okay. Any other questions?
You really read this carefully.
Good
Thank
catch.
you, Ramesh.
Okay, anything else for the director's report? If not, I think we can go through the committee reports fairly quickly. Policy, I don't think there's any, and our chair is missing. HR committee, trustee Verma, any comments you want to make?
No, there's no change in that.
Okay. Finance committee, any comments you want to make?
Nothing at this time?
No, there's not.
Okay. Events and marketing, our chair is gone, but I don't think there's anything other than the note there that there were 3 board members at the Toast of the Town event.
And thank you for making that available. I think that was important that we be there.
I do too. Thank you so much for approving that.
This Saturday is the State of the City address.
Yes, it
At
is.
9
Imagine.
o'clock, I
Yes,
imagine.
9 a.m.
Everybody's coming?
I
As
will be
far as
there,
I
yeah.
know.
You had to register.
Yeah.
And that's at Imagine?
At the
Yes.
Imagine Theater, yes. It's at 9, I believe the doors will be opening about 8:45.
Oh, not until 8:45.
I think it's
Okay.
8:45.
It's gonna be there at 8:30.
Strategic planning, I don't believe there's anything new on that.
No, there's none at this time.
Okay, building landscape. We did have our bids go out for the LED project, and a bid came back. The committee is going to meet tomorrow morning and talk about what our next step is. It was not the response that we anticipated, and we've got to kind of figure out, what do we do next? So hopefully we'll have more to report when we see you again. Bylaw committee, I don't think there's anything new?
Nope.
All right. We have reached the second of 2 opportunities for public comment. Once again, in order to hear all citizen comments at a reasonable hour, the board requests that speakers respect the 5-minute time limit. This is not a question and answer session, therefore we will not respond to questions. It is an opportunity to voice your thoughts with the Novi Public Library Board of Trustees. Does anyone in the audience wish to come forward and make a comment? Please go to the podium. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rob David. Do you need an address also? Is that required?
No.
All right. First of all, thank you all for all the time and energy you put into keeping things going at the library. By going through your 64 pages of material, it's clear there's a lot of work that's done between meetings and also at the meetings, and I applaud you for the time and attention you take to keep a great resource in our community operating so well. I had the pleasure meeting with several of the board members, I think about 14 months ago, I believe it was, to discuss an endowment bequest, if you will, that my wife and I had set into our estate plans. And at that time, we talked about some future activities, setting up an endowment for the library. I know some work's been done in that arena a little bit since then, trying to find a way to do it for a less cost. I just want to encourage you if you can move forward. I think there's a lot of opportunity. I looked on the budget today, and I saw, I think you had $500 planned for gifts for this year. The figure I know is a lot more than that when you make the opportunity available to people. And I just encourage you to move along in that way if you can. I'd be willing to assist any way I can from my experience. I have some foundation boards to help structure and get it set up and see to get that moving. Because people want to contribute. You do a lot for the people. You give them an opportunity and a means to support besides the Friends. Friends has a very important function and are set up well and managed well. But my opinion is the library needs to take care of the library. And the Friends can come and go, but the library is going to be around with or without them. And if you can find a way to help move that forward, I'd greatly appreciate it, so I can see that if anything happens to me, I have to hope is, Julie sent me a nice note thanking my wife and I for it. She says, thank you for your thoughts and your willingness to contribute. I hope we don't see it for a long time. I agree with Julie. But I do want to see the structure set up, especially now in light of the new tax code and things with that. Charitable giving is changing, what people may or may not do. And as I mentioned in my remarks, and it's my feeling from my experiences with colleagues and friends, there's a lot of money available when people are no longer with us, and we got to give them an opportunity. And we should find a way to move that forward if we can.
Thank you.
Thank you very much
Thank
for your
you.
comments. Moving ahead to matters for board action. On page 32 and 34, 32 through 34, that can't be right. Oh, yeah, it's
Yes.
the budget. I'm sorry, I
It's
was
the new
reading
one,
the wrong line. We need to finalize our 2018-2019 budget that we've met and discussed. You see it there spelled out in numbers. Does anyone have any questions or comments before we put it to a vote?
If I can just add, the
Yep.
yellow areas is where there were some changes made
Right?
from before. I know you had asked me to go back and if I could take a little bit away and do some trimming.
Yes.
I did. I hope you see that and where
Yep.
those changes are. And you see the changes that were made then for projected as well. So I did bring it down a little bit.
Thank you.
But yes, so we.
You said yellow. This is yellow, 45,000, 45,000, 45. What is the change in that?
Because currently we have, that's actually a revenue, so that's gonna go up from 40 to 45. Because I'm seeing, from what I'm seeing from the meeting room rentals and stuff, I'm confident that I could put that in there and hopefully 18, 19 will reflect it.
So how much overall? What difference did your little yellow changes make?
I didn't bring my worksheets with me. It would have been the number, so we're looking at the proposed, we're using a fund balance of 124. I know that there was 10,000 taken off specifically for strategic planning. So I had hoped to use a consultant or to work with someone. I just feel like bless you, that we needed it, but I took that out. I think we'll have to go it alone and go on our own to do it. Just little areas, for example, professional services, took that down a little bit as well. The audiovisual materials, that's changed and gone up, so I wanted you to be aware of that. That's just from changing that we're seeing. But I did take a little bit off from the original, I think it was 95 when I first brought it to you a couple weeks ago.
Julie, I have my first draft from January, because I wasn't at the February meeting, but my first draft from January, we were potentially using 145,770, and now we're down to 124,570.
So about 20,000.
That's a good $20,000,
So-
21.
Yep.
So we do not have a balanced budget, so we are negative.
We do not at this time.
So this is going on every year.
But when we finish the year, we are actually in the good.
Yeah, last year
Last year was,
last year we
Last
had,
year's.
we were potentially using fund balance, and we ended up with a revenue of 85,768. So even though our budget projected using the fund balance, we had 85,000 in the positive.
so we didn't use it.
We did not, yes, correct.
We've had 2 years in a row where we were positive at the end of the year.
I think the
after
first year was
several years-
30,000.
It was.
After several years of being negative.
And so even though we are projecting use of the fund balance, our fund budget, we're hoping that, as in the past we have experienced, not to. I was also very aware that it's a good thing that we have Fund Budget 269, because we have 3 huge one-time only expenditures in this year's budget. The market space and the lead lighting situation and the kiosk are huge investments for services of outreach that we need to do, and also good energy conservation. So those, thank goodness we have that other fund, but money alone does not drive what this library does. I mean, money has to be there. I'm not negating balancing budgets and all of that, but we cannot allow, this board, I don't believe, can allow us not to do a lead project because we're afraid it's going to cost us money, or not to go after the kiosk for outreach that we need to do. So it hurts my soul that, we're going to go into red on fund balance according to this budget. But on the other hand, I think the board discussions we've had, and Julie going back in to seeing where can she squeeze, where she needs to, that we have paid due diligence to doing what we can, but not at the expense of service to the mission.
2 questions.
Yes.
When we will be using 1819 or 1920? We will be buying the new van.
We're now projecting it to either in 1920 or 2021,
Oh,
depending
okay.
on, yes, we're not going to be doing an 1819.
Okay. So the other question.
That was a decision made at the last budget
Go
meeting.
ahead.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I remember you saying that we're using the same budget that we did when we had our old building.
You are correct.
Right, so I mean,
Yes, we
as
are.
much
Old
as,
building?
Yes, sir.
yeah, so we're using the
When I
same
started
numbers.
this job
yeah.
10 years ago, I started with a $2.8 million budget. That's exactly what you have to work with, and you now have a bigger building. We did not take operating expenses, and we did not ask for operating dollars for this new building to be built. It was just the building itself. I think that
That's
says a
huge.
lot,
That's
Melissa, and thank you for
huge.
saying that.
And that's
Yes.
the thing is, I understand we
Yes.
don't like the negative,
Right.
but it's,
There's not been an increased
Right.
operating budget for this new building.
but if you look forward across, I know we're doing the 17, 18, but if you look at 19, 20, and 2021, she is projecting that we can get to a balanced budget. So I do want you to know that it is something that she.
Thank you.
Of course, yes.
As long as, budget projected is minus, but we came out good for the last 2 years. How about the personnel? Did we have in the old building the same personnel, staff, or we have increased the staff?
Actually, we had 20-some full-time, and we have 17 in the 18-19. We've gone down in full-time staffing. We've increased a little bit with full-time, or with part-time, but actually, no, not that much. The staff is not. I can go back, but I can tell you full-time for sure. When I started, I think we had like 25 full-time, and we're down, yeah.
17.
We've made major changes.
Yes.
We have.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, I do appreciate Trustee Augusta's comment, because that's what I've been telling you from the beginning. 10 years ago when I walked in here, we had a beautiful budget, 2.8. It was in the small building. And when that economy dropped, when we lost that funding, we still kept going. And we added hours to the building, and we opened longer and on weekends and year-round for Sundays. And we're doing all that and still with the same amount of money. Yes.
Wow. That needs to be written up someplace, or, seriously, because I did not know that. It is a talking
I
point.
think you mentioned it one time, and it stuck.
I think footnotes or in some way, post notes or appendices,
I'll make
To
sure
the
that
budget.
in my next presentation to the council.
because I know that the city council is very, very cognizant of our budget and watching of it. And I think for those of us who react, they certainly let us know that they're going to be looking at this budget. So if you can include, and I think adding hours as well as additional spacing and,
We did. Now, we've added efficiencies too. I don't want to say that. Obviously, the new building came with, new efficiencies as well, but you also went from a 24,000 square foot building to almost 60,000. So, yeah.
Now, have we completed 10 year?
No, we're at 8. So I've been here 10 years. In my 10 years, that's what I started
But
with. this
building is
budget.
8 years.
Yes, 2010, it will be 10 years. We're coming into 8 years.
Yeah, so we have to celebrate that 10.
Yes, we will.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Beside that budget, on the page 64, in the month of May, we have a library closed for 3-4 days. Is it due to changes of computer, or why we are May 25th, May 26th, May 20th?
That's our computer
yes.
conversion. That's the
Okay.
weekend that TLN has told us we're not going to have any computers, so we decided to be closed that weekend because we're not going to be
So
available.
patrons cannot come, but the staff will be working.
No, they're not. We're not working that weekend.
So who will be changing the computer?
We have an IT staff. We have just a couple people that will be on staff, but it's actually a conversion that's going virtual, that we have to be completely shut down and not open or, running.
So
it's-
staff will be having a holidays,
Yes.
5 days, wonderful.
I'm going to take us back to the budget, which is what we need to vote on one way or another. We've had 2 long budget meetings prior to today. We've had a lot more discussion about it today. I think Trustee Picard's comments essentially sum up how most of the board felt, that we were not comfortable consuming fund balance. However, we took it as an exception because of the number of projects that we think have value and are hoping and our hope that it will continue to come in a little better than budget as we have. So unless someone has something new to bring up on the budget, I'd like to entertain a motion.
treasurer.
All right, what do I say?
Move.
I move to, a motion to pass,
218, 219.
sorry, budget for Fund 268 for 2018 to 2019, revenue of $3,033,030, with expenditures of $3,157,600, consuming fund balance of $124,570.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
Let's move on to 269, which is on page 36.
So these just reflect some of the projects that you're hoping to put into action for 1819. It mentions the buildings and grounds for the makerspace for 38.7, and then the technology at 33,005, and then the automated lending library for 67,000.
I have a question about automated 67,000. That's the equipment only, or this is the installation and equipment?
It does include the installation and equipment.
And 10% this contingency?
I did include a contingency. I can't tell you if it's 10%, but there was a contingency included. Yes.
Because we'll be putting it next year, not this year.
It's for 1819, starting July through June of next year.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is the price of the next year.
That, I did tell them the time frame, and that's the pricing that they gave me. I asked if they could hold it. They can't hold it. They can hold it for 30 days, but it's budgeted for what it is until we actually know that the park will be ready for us to put it in. We don't have a timeline for that either yet, so we'll be waiting a little bit.
Going back to the gentleman's comments about the endowment, we have not talked about that recently, but we certainly talked about that during goal sessions. We also talked during the budget meeting about the potential for income of naming. And all of this puts a heavy-duty responsibility on the staff. And I know that you have lots of other things that you're doing, but I'm wondering if there has been a group or some movement to look at the establishment of what do you need to do with the endowment, or what needs to be done possibly with the naming that came up as possible income sources.
I haven't done anything yet since our last conversation in terms of naming rights and stuff.
Can the board be supportive of you in some way?
Oh, sure. I think we could put together, I mean, based on this, we could be putting together a committee or fundraising, and we could be talking about it. And I think there's a whole marketing campaign behind
Yes,
it as well.
absolutely.
And to.
Some initial thinking needs to go in.
Right, and actually put projects and things that we would be creating so that when you go out, you have that information. Absolutely. And I welcome that support.
Question, Julie.
Sure.
On page 36, under the 2017-18 approved, you show 70,000 for the LED project, and yet on the prior page, you show where we had bumped that up to 92.5 for 2017-18. I'm curious why that
Nope,
70
that
is
is-
there instead
that-
of the 92.5.
Yeah, no, that's a mistake.
Say it again, please. Which one?
So it's from, that was me making a
Page
change.
On page 35, start on 35, you'll see the amended budget for 17-18 has 92,500 for the LED project.
That
But-
should be 92.5.
But when you turn the page to page 36,
Yes.
it went back to 70. So she's going to change that
Yes.
to be 92.5.
Thank you.
Any discussion on the budget for 269 for 2018, 2019? If not, is
This
there,
92.5 includes the 7,500 to the designer.
No, that is in a separate line.
Where
This
is
is
that?
specifically, that's actually in the 268 under professional services.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, is there a motion?
I will do a motion to approve fund balance 268 for the 2018
Fund balance 269?
260, oh my gosh, let me start over. A motion to approve fund balance 269 for fiscal year 2018 to 2019. Revenues of 33,000, expenditures of 145,700, utilizing $112,700 of our fund balance.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It has passed unanimously.
There are some major expenses that we're putting in this year, and I don't want us to overlook that. The kiosk is expensive, the lead lighting, which over time will save us money, and then also the market space. I mean, those are huge investments into the services of the library, and you have to pay for them.
That's true. Does anyone have anything else to bring up at this time? If not, we have reached number 16, which is adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you very much.